I could be wearing shorts, couldn't I, under this desk? You'd never know. It is time now for Mark Meets, in which I speak to the biggest names in the world of politics, showbiz, sport, business and beyond. Tonight, one of the most respected Labour Party figures of recent years. A man who backed Brexit but opposed Jeremy Corbyn and who has since, leaving the Commons, been appointed the government's advisor on antisemitism. A former MP and now a member of the House of Lords, John Mann. Let's take a look at when Lord Mann confronted former Labour Mayor of London, Ken Livingstone, following allegations of anti-Semitism.
A lying racist.
Really? Why don't you go and check
a Nazi
history?
apologist. A
Check
Nazi
history.
apologist.
Check your history.
A Nazi apologist. You're a disgusting Nazi apologist, Livingstone. Go back and check what Hitler did. Go back and check what Hitler did. There's a book called Mein Kampf. You've obviously never heard of it. Written in 1925.
Yeah, well, there's a real problem here.
Yes, you've never read it. And you dare say that Hitler supported Zionism. You've lost it, mate. You need help.
Go back and look what he's saying.
You need help.
And I'm delighted to say Lord John Mann joins me now. Hello, John.
Good evening to you, man.
You don't pull your punches, especially when it's a cause about which you're passionate.
Well, sometimes you have to say what you think, and when the opportunity arises, you should do so. Though I must, of course, apologise for swearing. And that's a terrible thing to do.
Yes. Well,
my mother would not have been happy.
Well, look, I mean,
swearing,
in terms of the time of day, you're fine, you're post-watershed, but do you have any regrets about the way you conducted yourself in that exchange?
None whatsoever. Absolutely none. I said what I thought needed to be said, and, cameras happened to be there. There is this kind of mythology that you can just whistle and get a camera crew. I wish it was that easy, and that I'd organised this. No, I just happened to bump into him, and he'd said some things I thought were unacceptable, and there was a chance just to put him right. He didn't want to debate.
Why do some aspects of the left have such an issue with anti-Semitism? What's going on? What's behind that?
It's deep-rooted in people's psyche, in their heads, and they buy into some of the conspiracy theories that things are wrong, someone's to blame. Who? Well, the Jews, and it's been going on for a long time. And don't forget, some people will say, well, the Jews killed Jesus. Not quite true.
Correct.
Rather misses the point of who Jesus was.
It's not the best counter-argument, is it?
But that's been around a long time.
Yeah.
And it gets in deep. And in this country, Jewish people have been quite successful, academically, for example, in science, in business, and have generally done well. And that's found it... People on the left find that much easier, therefore, to separate out the Jews for abuse. And it needs calling out. And I would do it if someone abused you or anybody else. And I'll do it if anyone is abusing our Jewish community.
And do you think the mainstream Labour Party has now been rid of the ghost of anti-Semitism?
Yes, it has. I mean, it was going to be easy, in my view. I always thought it would be easy, because most of them ran away, back out of the Labour Party, the people who'd come in who weren't there before, and the hardcore who were there before, they've been broken. And for Keir Starmer, it's very easy to sort out your own party. Leader of the opposition doesn't run the country, therefore he can't make the big decisions, he can only oppose what the government does. Here's his chance to prove himself, and I'm not the slightest bit surprised he's grabbed that with some glee and said, I can sort the Labour Party out. There is a problem, and I will sort it, and I'm having these people out. And we found it very, very easy to get rid of them.
You were no fan of Jeremy Corbyn. How much damage has he done to the Labour Party?
Well, he virtually destroyed the Labour Party in the sense that... I warned the moment he stood, and I told all those against him that this man could win if you're not careful. They didn't listen to me. I could see where his popularity came from. Simplistic politics, simple ideas, and not explaining how you're actually going to deliver it, which is what he did, has an appeal. And they didn't counter the danger of him.
So he was as much of a populist as the likes of Donald Trump?
Absolutely, absolutely. He was another version of Trump, different politics, but going for the easy stuff. And as Trump found. Trump's big problem was he couldn't actually deliver stuff. He was good on the rhetoric, good on the big picture. But, where's the wall he was going to build? It's not there. Hasn't done it. Hasn't changed things. And that was the Corbyn problem. And I'd seen him, known him, and I knew his politics. Bad for the Labour Party, catastrophic for the Labour Party's election chances, and no surprise that Labour bounces back when Labour moves towards the centre, towards normality, trying to take the British people with the Labour Party rather than spitting at the Labour Party and saying, here's what you should be doing.
Can Keir Starmer win an overall majority at the next election?
Well, it'd be difficult. Statistically, in politics, my rule number one, learn to count. If you go to a meeting, know how many votes you've got. If you go into an election, know how difficult it is. It'll be very difficult to get a majority. But the Conservatives, I saw a poll this weekend, 21%. I don't think it's ever been that low. The Conservative Party is imploding. It's been in power for a long time. It's got two wings, the pro-European wing, people like Jeremy Hunt, the anti-European wing, who are the majority. They're at war. And that war is not going to go away. And the only way they will solve that and work out what they really stand for is by being in opposition. And some of them privately say it'll probably be healthy to have a few years in opposition. They don't want too many. But that's what I think is likely to happen, the way things are going. They almost can't help themselves in their civil war.
And do you think Starmer's got the chops to be a great Prime Minister? Is he Tony Blair 2.0?
He could be. I mean, until...
It's a bit woke, isn't
Until
it?
September, I thought, well, where is it? Where is the punch? But I've seen a different person since September. Almost literally, he's grown. And I saw that with Blair. I remember when Blair was Bambi. I knew him. And the Bambi thing was the way he moved, the way he held himself. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, within about 2 months, he physically grew. He realised he could be Prime Minister. Beginning to see that with Starmer. Now, there's still a way to go, but he's acting like a man who could be Prime Minister. And the people will notice that. And so he's much more dangerous to the Tory party than he was in the summer and before the summer.
Do you not find him, he's clearly a bright guy, but do you not find him pompous and a bit woke, a bit PC, very virtue signalling?
I find him very London. And if he doesn't spend a majority of his time outside London, he won't win. So if he's listening in, my advice to him, Sir Keir, is get yourself out of London, get around the country, not just quick visits, but lots of time listening and understanding the people who don't live in London, who have a different perspective on life to you, who live differently to you, perhaps even different values in their everyday life. Not core values like, do they want an NHS? Do they want good schools? Do they want the economy to do well? No, they'd all say yes to that, and so would he. But the bits that are harder to get, if he goes out there and does that, I think he's not against Boris Johnson this time, who was very good at that. He's against Rishi Sunak, who's unproven in that. And we've got two unproven leaders in how they manage to engage the people. So if I was Starmer, I would get out of London most of the time.
I think that's good advice, because if Keir Starmer had spent time outside of London post-referendum, he might not have crafted a policy as Shadow Brexit Secretary to reverse the decision. You backed Brexit. Any buyer's regrets?
None at all. I mean, what we should be doing, I'm a bit perplexed. I saw a fellow Lord Frost, seems to be attacking what's happening with Brexit all the time. Look, Brexit's done. What we need to do is grab the opportunities that Brexit gives. And the biggest opportunity is energy. Do we want to rely on the Russians for gas? I've been saying for years, no, we don't. Or the Chinese for coal, or the French for nuclear power. Do we trust them on stability, on price, on actually giving us the energy? No. Produce our own. Protect those industries, grow the new industries, lead the way. And, I hear this green agenda. I'm interested in the economic agenda that comes from that. The electric car. It's pretty obvious to me that at some stage we'll all be driving electric cars. We should lead the way in making them because we'll get more jobs. We'll make profits. That's what we should be doing with Brexit, rebuilding our industrial base and not having the open competition, the rules of the EU that made that much harder. Rebuild the economic manufacturing base of Britain. That's what I voted for. And I think most Brexit voters and most of the country, actually, even the Remainers, would see that as a good thing.
We need a part 2. Will you return?
I'll be here.
Definitely. Look forward to it. Fascinating